Here we go. We're live.
Cool.
Just like that, Howie. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the JAR podcast, JAR Foundation podcast. This is a kind of just a casual fireside chat between two people, or it may in the future include a bit more, but really just about our journey around mental health. Really based on my journey with the JAR podcast, going around the country, interviewing a couple hundred people, and being really surprised at the level of mental health challenges people face. And the other part of that is the tools that I really thought that I received as somebody going through the sales industry, the sales business, especially the insurance, that I felt I had access to, that I thought really helped me in some of my tough mental health days and weeks, just kind of journeys. And I thought that a lot of the people that I met could have managed this life a little bit easier, Howie, if they had tools, if they had education or resource for mental health. We're getting past it, as we talked pre-chat, we're getting past the stigma a bit. We can talk about it, but it's still, obviously, it doesn't make it not an issue. But the stigma's slowly coming away. So I think now is a place where getting resources out there, and it's kind of what I want to do with the JAR Foundation. A lot is address some of the core issues: cost, um, access, and stigma, but also doing a lot of that through the education side. So the guest that kind of I stumbled upon through LinkedIn uh, is Howie Gerver, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Howie's we just had a great pre-chat, and interesting um, interesting background on the HR side. I've got a lot of affinity for HR. We didn't talk about that
Not at
so
all.
much.
No.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that part. The
We
affinity.
don't want the audience to fall asleep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, HR can be exciting.
It
Um,
can be. That's true.
Absolutely, especially, and also we're data geeks. We kind of share the data geek
Indeed.
background,
Yeah.
which is great. But Howie's also shared something that I've seen on the road with some of my guests, which is losing a child, and something pretty unimaginable for parents, to where Howie shared with me kind of a fact that we don't even have a word for what to call somebody, a parent that loses a child. It's not really even a word in the dictionary where you can say it and you would know what that meant, like widower. So, this is something pretty powerful. And I was impacted pretty heavily by at least a half dozen people who had lost kids along my journey. That's, roughly, it's a good percentage. It's a good percentage. And those people know other people. So it's interesting that I met Howie. I didn't know that when I sent you an invite. And you've got a project dedicated to your son. Really interesting, and you've also got a different journey. So maybe just share a little bit about who you are, who's Howie Gerver, and what are you doing in this world, and how did you end up here?
Yeah. Great question. It took me 62 years to get here, interestingly. Never planned on being here.
Yeah,
And I just, stumbled upon it by just fate, right? So I'm here to talk about the Atom Project, and named after my son, as Ken said. And Adam was a real gifted child, just in so many ways. And he struggled with a variety of mental health conditions for 17 years. Just when he was a teenager, he passed way too soon at 32.
mm,
And I was crying every day for, several times a day for probably a year. And I decided I was done crying, kind of like Forrest Gump. Like Forrest Gump would immerse himself in something, become a
yeah,
champ at it, and say, "Okay, I mastered this. I'm on to the next thing." Right? So it's like, okay, I can't sit here and cry and sulk every day. That's not going to bring my beautiful boy back.
no,
So what can I do? And I kind of sat back and, as you said, I'm a data geek and servicing the HR community, where we do a lot of claims, medical claims, and pharmacy claims based analytics. And I said, well, a layup for us is to do analytics around mental health in the workforce, and look and using,
wow,
in a HIPAA compliant, de-identified manner, let's look at the medical claims and the pharmacy claims by business unit, by location, and see what the prevalence of a variety of mental health conditions are. And then let's look at the mental and behavioral health programs that are in place, like EAPs, employee
Okay.
assistance programs, and digital behavioral health tools like Lyra and Modern, et cetera, right?
All right.
Ginger
Okay.
and others. And let's look at the programs and let's map the what we're expecting to see, based upon the claims data with the utilization, and let's see how well those programs are working.
Hmm.
Because even though these programs are doing great work and helping people, we still have a crisis of epic proportions. And you sit back and say, is
Yeah.
corporate America doing the right thing, or are they just going in blind? Let's just throw some tech at this, and let's hope that people go to the site and use it, right? So that was a layup, and we're doing that. And then I don't know if you've ever. So you mentioned, Ken, that you were in sales with some insurance. I don't know if you've ever tried to sell to HR or corporate America. It's a
I I
long,
I
tough
have.
sale.
It's a beautiful thing. You have to have
Sure.
a lot of hope.
Right. So I've been doing this a long time. So yeah. So anyway, net. I said, all right, this is good, but it's going to take way too long to get where we need to be. Maybe there's something else that we can do. And I kind of stepped back
Sure.
and said, for all the times over the past 17 years that I would go on to Google or Bing, no disrespect to either of those search engines, I would say, oh my God, like I would search for something that was mental or behavioral health related. And 10 minutes later, I had no idea where I was. I didn't
Yes.
accomplish what I was looking to
Yeah.
do. We've all gotten lost in the Google zigzag labyrinth, right? And I just said, this sucks. There's got to be a better way. I said, wouldn't it be cool if we could take other people's content, vet it, and curate it, and port it into a controlled, frictionless ecosystem? And by that I mean, unlike Google, you can't get lost, right? Frictionless meaning it's free, so there's no money, and also there's no logging in or registration, so it's totally anonymous. So somebody could come to the site, look what they're looking for. We have no idea who they are, what they came for. It's totally frictionless, right?
Amazing.
um
And the site is
what
what's the address?
I never thought you'd ask. It's called theadamproject.org.
Theadamproject.org. Okay.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
very interesting.
yeah.
And is it news articles or abstracts from medical studies or all that stuff?
It's all that stuff and more. Currently, there are 500 resources. Soon to be, we'll be approaching 1,000 by the summer. So everybody consumes content or has different preferences for how they consume content, right? Some want to listen, like a podcast. Others want to read, like an
Yeah.
article. Others want to listen to a webinar or watch a
Well,
webinar.
they wanna
Others
see
want
it.
to
Yeah, they wanna see us.
Some people want to talk to somebody, they're
Yeah.
into the phone. Others want to take an assessment. So we call these modalities, right? It's
Yep.
a fancy word for, it's just gobbledygook for how do you want to consume something, right? Um, and you can choose in your in the filters what how you want to receive that content, in term format, like podcast, assessment, phone number, article, etc. Right? And then you could even refine those filters. And we have like 5 or 6 different filters, from age to ethnicity, uh, gender, persona, condition, and help modality. Right. So if I
Wow.
am a teenager
Yeah,
that is
Hispanic teenager, and I wanna listen to a podcast on,
depression.
depression.
Yeah, boom. I click on Hispanic, Latino. Um, then and the age
Age.
is young, right? A young adult or teenager rather, and then the podcast, and then the subject being depression, and then boom, the content gets teed
Every
up.
episode will be flat.
It's and
Wow.
it could be, whatever you want, right? So or if I want something more geographic, more local to me, if I type in the zip code for where I live or the city or state for where I am, it will likely bring up at this time either a site for the local National Association of Mental Illness site, which is NAMI, right? One of the biggest nonprofits in the mental health industry. And they have people that you could speak to for free. They have counselors that you could call for free, right? Also frictionless. Or it will bring up the respective state or city government's mental health
Okay.
office, where you can, if you need help navigating the system, they will help you with that, right? So we are content curators, other people's content, and soon we will be offering that navigation assistance. Or if somebody comes to the site, like when my son passed, people would ask me, "Are you depressed?" And I would say, I
uh,
well,
I,
first of all, like, it doesn't matter what I am. I
I,
lost my best friend, and like,
yeah, I'm like, I
you,
don't know, Laser. What is the word? Like, can you put a word on it?
exactly. Like, is
I,
this super effed up? Like, totally. Is this something that should never happen to anybody? Of course. Am I depressed? I don't know. Let's look up the definition of depressed. And I was like, well, I'm a lot of those things, but I can still function. I still can sleep, and I still can eat, and I can still work. I mean, am I super sad, and do I cry randomly? Of course. Do I think about my son? Like, oh my God, is my son calling? 2 years later, I think my son's calling, or I got to tell Adam this, right? So I'm a changed, person forever. How did we get here? What question did you sorry, what
yeah,
question did you ask?
yeah, I'm not even sure what the question was, but it was a good story.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Yeah, because there's so much. I'll think about it at 3 o'clock in the morning and call you back. But there's so much good
I'll leave the
content.
chat. I'll leave the
Yeah, leave
chat
the chat
open.
open. Yeah.
Oh,
This page intentionally left blank and quiet, right? But um,
I
but the
wish.
bottom line is, I know what I was saying. So they may come to the site and really not know what they are, right? So if I'm a teenager or a young adult or whoever I am, right? First time, maybe I got laid
Yeah.
off, or maybe it is a threat of a layoff. Maybe I lost money in the stock market this week. Maybe my parents got diagnosed with dementia, right? Whatever it is, maybe the dog is sick. Or maybe my child, my 14-year-old girl is cutting, right? Or maybe my 17-year-old daughter has anxiety around the prom, right? You could simply enter these terms into the search engine if you're savvy enough to think that the system is smart enough to accommodate that. Or, with the chatbot, you'd be able to say, the chatbot will say, "Hey, welcome. What brings you here
Yeah.
today?" Like, well, I'm not really feeling that great. I'm kind of feeling dark and low. And chatbot may ask you a question or two. Well, what's going on? Well, my mom is this, or my teacher is this, or my boss is that, or my whatever is going on. And then the chatbot may ask you a few more questions, and then it'll tip and say, "Hey, people like you
Yeah.
find podcasts like this, or webinars like this, or articles like this helpful." And we'll screen for crisis situations. If somebody looks like they're going to do some self harm, God forbid, or if they are in critical need of resources, we'll be able to help with that as well.
Hmm.
So anyway, look for that. And then another thing we'll be adding, which is super cool. Actually, two more things. Um, One is a provider directory, so free providers, right?
Oh,
So
this is like one of those things I was, for for my even my own thoughts on the foundation was, is that exist? How do you find
so there's
people?
free and there's free, right? So I could,
Okay, yeah.
there's free that is totally zero out of pocket, and free that you have to qualify for or pay for, right? So, well, Medicaid ostensibly is free, right? So if I'm a less fortunate person and I'm a heroin addict, God forbid, and I need to get detoxed, you know,
Y-
guess what? We will direct you, and chances are it's unlikely that you'll be the person coming to the adamproject.org for that. your family member, your friend, your caregiver, your spouse, whomever, your girlfriend, boyfriend, maybe your best friend, may be doing that on your behalf, right?
Yeah.
So, but the bottom line is, hey, I'm in Delray, and I started using it again. No disrespect to Delray, right, beach, but at the end of the day, this happens to be a lot of people there in that status. Um, and the bottom line is, um, hey, give me a free detox place in
Yeah.
Delray
I
Beach,
need somewhere to
or
go.
I need somewhere. I don't have the money, right? Surprise, surprise. I don't have the money. I need somewhere to go. So we're building that out currently, which is great. The other thing we're doing, and this is a few months out. They're
Okay.
actually offering. We'll be offering treatment scholarships, right? So
Oh,
people that, like, it was interesting. A year ago, Adam passed. April will be 2 years, and
okay.
I reluctantly posted a tribute to Adam on LinkedIn. Uh, that post went viral, got 100,000 views, which on LinkedIn is like unheard of. It's
That's
considered viral, right? Which is pretty amazing. And I had thousands of people from all walks of life contact me, and I had some really amazing conversations. And there were people that told me that they flat out, like, they didn't have the money, they were bipolar and didn't have money for their Seroquel, for example.
oh
And
God,
and
man,
when you
it's
don't
tough.
have that money and you don't have those meds, all bets are off. Like, that person could be that crazy person walking down the middle of the highway that's naked with maybe he has a guitar, maybe not, singing songs, and
Yes.
like not a care in the world, not knowing what's going on. Or sadly, I think it was a year or two ago in North Carolina, somebody didn't take their meds and they blew up the place. They killed, I think, 5 or 10 people. We want to make sure people get their meds, and if they need the meds and they qualify, we will pay for that. If they need services, we will pay for that. They need to qualify, and of course, we need to have the money. So who knows where that will go? But that's the vision, and really excited about that, because the goal really is to help reduce the sting of that journey
Yeah.
for that person that's suffering, or their family member, or anybody for that matter. And however we can help. I mean, it's sad that Adam had to be a sacrificial lamb here. If it wasn't for Adam's condition and him passing, I would never be here right now. But in a way, this is also a catharsis for me, and it's just nice knowing that I'm not blessed with being a clinician or a doctor or a nurse or a pharmacist or a therapist, but I'm a data geek and a little bit of a techie. So why not make these resources available, right? So that's how I got. I think, I don't know which question you asked. Maybe that's how I got here. Something
Yeah,
like that.
and it's a little bit of where you are, right? I mean,
Yeah,
and I mean, just the database, right? It's hard for me to fathom. I'll go definitely after this. Go there and look and have a look around. I mean, it
sure.
sounds very interesting. And again, it really does play into. I mean, this is a little bit. This is an interesting. This is an education part, and it's a resource. So it fits in that palette of kind of tools that I think people could really, could really use.
Yeah. Well, you
Um,
you mentioned education. I know that you were thinking broader education, right?
yes, yeah.
But if you think of,
This is on
for
the palette.
example,
This is on the
but
palette.
oh yeah, but think of K through 12,
Yeah,
right? And think of everybody that you know or knew of, and issues that they had. And today, more than ever, there's all kinds of issues. I mean, sadly, I mean, there are 5-year-olds that have expressed interest in killing themselves, and they sounded serious, right? And they had a plan. I mean, you just shake your head in disbelief, like,
yeah. Like,
WTF,
whoa.
like whoa, just like, this is insane. Like, what
I
the
was
hell?
trying to.
And
I was blowing up ant farms when I was 5.
yeah, right. That's funny you say that. I had a magnifying glass, and in the
Yeah, that's
summertime,
it.
yeah,
I was
these
doing some of that.
yeah,
Some of
right.
that
We were like
exper
burning the tar and like putting insects on the
Yeah,
tar, and
catching
like,
bees or like
yeah,
I
yeah, that
wasn't
kind
thinking
of
about
stuff.
cutting my head off.
Inchworms. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So
jeez. Poor kids.
it's just, so when you think of bullying, for example, in the
Yeah.
schools.
Yes.
One of my daughters is a dean of like teenagers in a charter school, and she tells me stories uh, which are just amazing. Like, well, and she tells me this crazy fight, like 4-on-4 teenage girls went at it, and how did the fight start? Oh, well, one of them looked at their sneakers the wrong way, right? And that turned into, you know, and then the
As you
kids got
do, right? I mean,
attention. What's that?
as you normally do. If you look at my shoes funny, we're gonna throw down.
Right, right. So then
I don't
think
know
of
what world that
all.
makes sense in.
No, so whatever. Well, probably the South Park world. I'm a South Park fan, but
Yeah, in South Park, I'm all about that. It makes sense in South Park.
that doesn't mean that we should mimic that behavior in real life. But
Yeah, and just think about the mental health issues they're dragging around. They're bringing to
oh
the
yeah, they're
class. I
bringing
mean,
those
these are
issues to school. They're dealing with the issues in school.
yeah,
Then they get detentions or suspensions, or they get expelled, and all the issues that go around that. Then it becomes more trouble, and it becomes this vicious, like dysfunctional circle or cycle. And it's like, well, guess what? Come to the Atom Project. I mean, we're not going to cure your problems per se, but there will be articles that either as a student, as a kid, you know, as a parent, as a teacher, as an administrator. I mean, if you type into the Atom Project like teenager or junior high or senior high or prom anxiety or bullying or cutting or whatever the subject is, right? We have content
it's
there, and
amazing.
well, we're well the amazing really comment applies to the people that wrote the original content. We're simply curating other people's content, right? So we're not creating any original content. It's really a round of applause to the people that created the original content. We were just lucky enough to stumble across it and said, hey, this is good stuff. This needs to be shared with the world,
Right.
and come to this one place, theatomproject.org, and have at it, right? Again, totally frictionless environment.
Very interesting.
Thank you. I'm a little biased. I think it's interesting too. And we have a lot of positive comments. And the best part, again, is aside from helping people, again, no money, right? So, if people say they don't have the money, if you really have the need, come to the Atom Project and you will find something that will start to help you with. Like, so suppose if you have anxiety or depression,
Hmm.
there's a technique called CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. We have a ton of cognitive behavioral therapy exercises on there, totally free. You don't need to go to a therapist for that. Or there's another one called DBT. I forgot what that one stands for. I just had a senior moment. But DBT is another one. There's just so many different techniques, and they're all there. Not all, many of them are there, right? We probably have, I don't want to say too much content, but when you think of all the demographics and all the audiences and all the conditions that people, the
It
popular,
must be massive content. Yeah.
oh yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you could put tens of thousands of articles and podcasts and things out there, and it's just, it's really interesting.
How do you get the name out? Now you've built it now. You've got this baby. It's clearly got some it's got use cases,
Oh
right?
yeah,
It has
well,
really real positioning and real use case.
angels like this guy Ken Stearns. Have you heard of him?
No, I haven't heard of this guy. But I would be suspect of anybody with the Stearns name.
Okay. Well, Bear Stearns was a great company on Wall Street, but
Yeah, they
anyway,
were at one point.
yeah. So angels like Ken Stearns, pick us up, and maybe some people will listen to it, and maybe somebody else will listen to it, and
It's
maybe
amazing.
they'll talk. Right? It's unfortunately we live, well, good news, bad news, right? We are bombarded with messages, right?
This
I
is true.
mean,
Yeah, absolutely true.
and
That's surreal.
yeah, and our biggest challenge, just like, I mean, think about established brands like Oreos and Chips Ahoy, right?
Yes.
or potato chips or beer, well, whatever your consumer product is. Think of how hard those brands have to work and how much money they have to spend. Right? We just saw the Super Bowl last month, right? Was it 7 million for 30 seconds? Or something
Some
insane.
crazy.
Plus creative, right? Insane, right? So, well, God bless America. So, but at the end of the day, we don't have millions. It would take millions and millions of dollars to build a brand, and
To
even then, are people going to remember, right? So that's a good question. Ask me next year at this time. I did have a conversation today with a young man who is a marketing guy, and he was saying that he thought that we should put together a social media calendar, and every day on all the big social media platforms launch at least one message, like at least one tweet, at least one
absolutely. If you
TikTok,
have,
at least
yeah,
whenever,
absolutely. Yeah.
and that will at some point, people may pick it up. But I mean, we get some traffic, but
Mm.
nowhere near the amount of traffic that we should get, given the fact of A, how big of a need there is, and B, it's free. And again, we're not asking you for your name. We don't care where you live. We don't want to know your phone number, no email. I mean,
Mm.
it's frictionless and it's good. There is some good content there. Right?
What about packaging it back up together with your employer package? I mean, what about closing off the frictionless part and trying to
And
and
oh,
frame
okay.
and frame some value around it for an employer package and use the employer to help
We
drive.
we can
'Cause you
absolutely
could
do
reverse
that.
it for a while
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
and
mean,
make it free later.
we could even, yeah,
It's a
to
weird
that
it's a
end.
weird idea.
No, I kind of like the idea. It's not so weird. And weird is good, by the way. I like weird. Um, but no, we could do a private label version, so to speak. So if you were, I don't know, large employer, let's think about this, right? Not to pick on Walmart, but let's put easy target
Yes.
in a friendly way, right? So Walmart has, I don't know, 1 million employees, 2 million employees in the
Yeah.
U.S.
Something
Well, some big number. Well,
crazy.
there's probably at least 500,000 or 1 million of those that are part timers that are not benefits eligible, right? Well, guess what? You think that because they're not benefits eligible, that they don't have mental health needs? Their mental health needs may be higher than those that do have benefits and do have access to the core benefits plan. So, hey, Walmart, Target, pick your employer with large part time population where the people don't have benefits, right? Um, hey, make this link available to your people, right? Here's a QR code, here's a URL, here's a phone number, whatever. Make this available to your people, right? How hard? It's free. We're not zero, nada.
Well, you may
Right?
even I would even suggest that you charge Walmart 5 cents an employee or whoever it is. You just say it's an annual subscription and it's a penny a person.
Uh,
Just kind of
I
a
like
weird
that.
weird
I,
psychological thing.
yeah, we
Um,
could do.
so they're
I'm open.
paying.
Whatever. We can have a separate conversation after this
Yeah,
call if you
I'd
want.
I'd
Happy to have that conversation. I think it's a good idea. It's not so weird. I think it's a good idea. My goal is personally. I don't want to sound flippant, but I don't really care how where this lives as long as
right.
it's helping people. That's my goal. Help make the world a better
Yeah,
place by giving people access in an easy way to this kind of information, right?
agree.
So if an employer like Walmart wants to pay for it, that's okay. If an association wants to make it available to its members, that's okay.
Like
If
an
a union wants
association's
to
a
make
good
it available,
yeah,
that's okay. If Disneyland wants to put up a sign, Adam Project, having a tough time with the kids, AdamProject.org, yeah, that's okay,
I love that.
right?
That's a good one.
I don't know. Who knows? I mean, there's mental health everywhere. Mental health does not discriminate, right?
It
And I
it's
mean,
it's a
it's in every demographic, just everywhere. So
it doesn't matter
there's
what
no
sex
wrong
you are,
place
it
to
doesn't
go
matter
today.
anything. It's there for you. It's there for you.
Yes, yeah,
Equal
exactly,
opportunity.
exactly. So
It is an
yeah,
equal opportunity.
yes.
Well, we're at the time. I mean, that's it. That's 30 minutes. Now,
Wow, I'm just getting started. I feel like Al Pacino in in that movie, and Justice for All, and that's just my opening argument.
don't take it away from me now. Well, I think this is it's a great teaser, and for sure, I'll reach out to you on LinkedIn
Great.
offline.
Well, this
Love
is
to have a
fun.
chat with you. I think the association line, I think giving it away free is the final destination. And just,
Okay.
just my gut, like my instant reaction is, packaging it up. It's because you've already got that channel. You've already
Right.
got,
No,
you've got that pack.
we've been doing our HR best practices thing for 20 years. 20,
Yeah.
oh, what am I saying? Oh my God, 23
Yeah.
years. All right. Been
Yeah.
at it for a while. Not easy to deal with corporate America. It's a slog, a lot of
Amen.
bureaucracy, but they could certainly help a lot of people. There's a lot of people that have all kinds of issues every day, and unfortunately, I'll leave you with this. I mean,
Yeah.
so I'm
How about some
so
closing
I'm
thoughts, Howie? Give us some,
what's that?
how about some
No, I
closing
just want to
thoughts?
say this, and it's not happy per se, but when I was a kid, so I'm 62, so 50 years ago, mental health existed, but it was primarily behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Right? Today, it's like we're shouting it from the rooftops. Like everybody knows somebody. And if I could borrow a line from Kevin Bacon, Kevin Bacon's
Yeah.
6 degrees of separation, mental health, we're talking most people 1 degree of separation,
Oh yeah. You look in
maybe two
you just
degrees
look
of
in the mirror.
separation.
I think most,
Ev-
it depends
Yeah,
on,
yeah, there you go.
I mean, it depends on
I've met the patient, and it's me.
I mean,
It probably is me. I should
we're
probably
all on
look in
the
the Adam
spectrum
project
at
myself.
some point in our life and
Oh,
some
and
point in the
there's so
day.
many stressors today. I mean, you
Yeah.
name the stressor, it's there, and it's tough, man. It ain't easy today, but that's where content like that kind of content on the Atom Project, hopefully helps make things a little better, right? Again, takes the
Yeah.
sting out a little bit, right?
Yeah. And I just, I hope it finds the right path to get that kind of spotlight that it deserves. It's a great idea and it's a
Well, thank you.
great project.
Well, it's
I'm
kind of
blown
my
away.
legacy. Like I'm leaving it. I mean, there will be enough money to have it going on in perpetuity. So
That's cool.
even without me here, I mean, the content is kind of timeless. So I mean, methods may change. Cognitive behavioral therapy may be out in a few years. Who knows, right? What do I know? But it'll be there if somebody wants it, and or whatever the new thing is that comes in
And
and
you'll grab
replaces.
whatever the new stuff is.
Yeah.
The search engine will grind that out.
Yeah, exactly. But as I said earlier, it sadly it took me 62 years to wake up, and it was only because of the tragic passing of my
Yeah.
beautiful boy that this is here, and my heart really reaches out to everybody that struggles with the mental health crisis, because man, it's a sucky process.
Sucky
Uh,
place to be.
it
Yeah.
is, it is. So yeah,
But I think the good news is I think Adam's story, like a lot of the stories I've heard, there's something good that comes out of it at the end. There is, people do take from the ashes something and mold something new. And I think you've done that. I think your son would be proud of you.
yeah. Well, thank you. I hope so. It's I'm certainly very proud of him, and this is the least that I could do to kind of keep his name out there in a positive way. He was a great guy, very giving, very kind.
Mm.
Uh, became friendly with everyone, the homeless. I mean, he didn't discriminate. And he was wicked smart. He was on the chess team and just a musician, played 5 instruments. He's just a great guy that loved everybody. And he's not here, so I'll keep his spirit alive and help people in the way Adam would want to help people. So
Thanks, Barry. Beautiful, actually.
thank you.
Howie. All right, Howie.
I've I've been called all kinds of things. It's all good.
Um, yeah, it's a beautiful way to kind of to put on his memory. I think you've done it. Like I said, I think you've done it right. A message I think for everybody, if you're feeling in a tough place, I think the Atom Project .org, great place to go for resources. If that doesn't work, 988's there. Call, reach out, somebody. You're not alone. It's 100%. You might be in a dark place, but there's probably a hand pretty close to you.
Mm.
So just take that action and reach out. You'll find somebody. Again, Howie, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Great
Great.
for sharing the story, and I love what you're doing.
Yeah, and I love what you're doing. So
Yeah.
this is cool stuff. Very exciting.
Yeah. Thanks
Good.
everybody for
Bye
watching,
bye.
and thanks for supporting and sharing. Cheers.
Ciao.